Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman finally faced the media music, make the initial statements since the end of the season for the New York Yankees, and kind of a tale of two cities the way that both of them responded. We'll kind of do a little deep dive in both of that. Cashman a little ornery there, kind of a different type of Cashman. I'll just kind of react to that whole thing. Plus, the Yankees have finally landed their new hitting coach. Of course, we've gotten over that. Sean Casey's not going to come back for 2024. And so the Yankees got their new guy and see if he could rectify this kind of anemic offenses, which has kind of been, kind of almost boring to watch the couple past few seasons. And of course, the Yankees continue also to look for a bench coach. Now that, as we reported from the last episode, Carlos Mendoza now managing the Mets. So empty spot there. So throw a few names that's been, considered by the Yankees, getting into that. And also there's been some trade rumors regarding Gleybar Torres. I don't know if it's really hot or not, but I'll kind of look at both, I guess one of the proposals dealing with the Boston Red Sox and whether I think it'll be a good fit for not. Gleybar entering in an arbitration year coming in 2024, but then after that he will hit free agency. So, Gleybar Torres is someone that, a team might want to bring about. And of course, we'll give some awards that didn't happen. Again, we're still in awards season here. Not the Tonys, not the Oscars, but baseball awards. And there were a couple of Silver Slug awards out there where a couple of Yankees were nominated, but unfortunately they didn't bring home the bacon there. But we'll kind of give the backstory to that. And we'll get to all that great stuff. But before we get started here, if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to drop a comment or something about anything, go ahead, do so. Even if there's some cursing there, that's okay. It's an open forum there. And if you're watching on TV, you want to go over to YouTube right now. If you want to kind of see these episodes a little bit sooner than if you're watching on TV, go to YouTube again, Section 420, Talkin Yankees, subscribe. And as you should know, there's an audio version podcast of the show where I do episodes there that you can't see here or anywhere else. So you want to be sure you're an exclusive podcast subscriber. So wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, and follow, like, subscribe there as well. Get all the good stuff, content there. And of course, now, as I mentioned previously, a lot of stuff that's been mentioned previously, this would be a spot where, I'd be, if we had sponsored, I'd be reading sponsored, so you get a sponsored ad. Now, we tried the funeral home last episode, but it could be anything else. It could be like a bakery. So, let's say you sell cookies and you want to get your name out there. You could drop your name and like everyone want to buy your cookies. It's sort of like Little League. You remember Little League? On the back of the uniform, there was the funeral home. There was what was a popular one? You would see a bakery once in a while, a restaurant, stuff like that. You imagine like your business on the back of a Little League uniform. Well, that's what you get by being a sponsor of the show. So, hit me up by YouTube as well. If you want to be a show sponsor, we could do it as well. Certain things we can't do. So if it's like, X-rated, like stuff like that, I don't know if we could do that stuff. But if it's like a little underrated R, and PG-13 is fine, or PG, that's fine. Can't go over R, but we'll consider R-rated stuff as well. So be a sponsor. So, Yankee fans, of course, very upset at the end of the season. Of course, we wanted to hear from both the boss as well as Boss Jr., as well as Brian Cashman about this team. Again, a lot of people want to see Cashman get fired, which, because it's not going to happen with he has multiple years left on the contract. But they kind of been quiet as this, at the end of the season there, because a lot of unanswered questions regarding, what are you going to do with this team? And are they going to go for Ohtani or Yamamoto and all this stuff? So finally, both of them made their, their first public statements of the off season. Now with Hal, it was through a Zoom call. And it wasn't really much of a Q&A session. It was just kind of him just giving a statement. It looks like he was down there in the Tampa complex there, just by the looks of it. And he was just basically gave kind of the fans what they wanted to hear in terms of, yes, this season was a completely failure. We accomplished nothing. This is unacceptable. Again, that's because you want to hear from the owner, but you also want to hear like how it's going to get better. But again, it was very humble pie, very apologetic. Very. So that's kind of what you want to hear. You don't want to hear him give you any sort of silver lining or let's look at the bright side of this. I mean, there really wasn't much to take away from the 2023 season. I mean, only thing, if you could want to, it was good to take away from that is what, seeing Jason Dominguez just for a couple of games, but then it kind of, him needing Tom John surgery, you only get to see him for 7-8 games, it kind of throws salt on the whole thing. So that would be the only thing like positive maybe you could take away from the season. Other than that, yes, it was a complete failure. So Hal Steinbrenner he did the right thing, he said the right thing there, I can't really complain about that. On the other hand, Brian Cashman was like the complete difference. So his spot with the media was, I guess it was out there in Scottsdale, Arizona. Looks like the beginning of the winter meeting there. And he had a little bit of press with a couple of reporters around him. And he was the complete opposite, almost a little defiant. First of all, just in his physical appearance, he had his like sunglasses on the whole time, which is just, depending on the situation, there's something with wearing like dark glasses when you're trying to talk to the reporters. Almost like he's putting like a wall or a shield up there. So right just from the look of it, this kind of looked weird. And he was kind of the opposite. He was just a little bit of defiant. I mean, Again, he dropped he dropped at least one F-bomb, some other words which I can't repeat here. So it was just a little bit tacky on his part. And again, he's usually very mild-mannered and almost like a very, quiet, kind of humble guy there. And this was like the complete opposite. If you ever listen to him when he does a radio interview, I mean, he'll just ramble on, softly for, you ask him one question, he'll just ramble on 15 minutes, very softly, very pointed. But again, this was just very different. This is a different type of Cashman. And kind of just really, there was no like self-apology, no like we need to fix things. It was just sort of like, no, we got a good operation here. No, I like our guys. I like we're set up. We're using analytics the right way. Those like stuff is like, again, like what you've been watching. Your team like just finished 2 games over 500. I know you had the Judge injury, but still, like you're happy with this operation there. So it didn't make sense. You would like to have him again have a little bit more humble pie like Hal Steinbrenner, but he was just not. It was almost the complete opposite. And again, it's a type of Cashman we've never really seen before. So I don't know. Is it just was having a bad day? Was he a little grumpy? Is this him being like, hey, I know I'm not going to get fired, so I could be a bit of a Weisenheimer there. So again, it was just like a weird look for him. It was a different type of look. And even within the Yankee family or community, you say ESPN radio host Michael Kay even commented and said, Cashman was a bad look for Cashman. I mean, you can't be an executive, especially an executive of New York Yankees, and like you're dropping an F-bomb. So it's just like, this is very unfitting for the Yankees, very unfitting for Cashman. So I don't know what it was. Maybe this could have been a bad day, or just maybe his whole attitude about this. Maybe he doesn't like this zealous analytics company, which we mentioned in the last episode, doing an analysis on his team and his work. It's kind of like, Hal saying that he's not doing his job well enough in a way, indirectly. So is that him just sort of being to fight back? Or is it just him just being say, hey, look, I know I'm not getting fired, or if I do, hey, I'm still going to get paid, so I don't care. So it was a bad look for Cashman there. But I guess one of the good things to take away from the whole thing was Hal Steinbrenner mentioning that he discussed with Boone that the team needs to bunt more, which, I mean, we've all been screaming for that for years. The Yankees kind of got a little too comfortable with the whole money ball approach of, get 2 walks and hit a 3-run home run, which, again, the Yankees do that. They get a lot of home runs, but also, half the other game they're not doing scoring and doing anything else because there's nothing going on the bases there. So Hal mentioned that Boone suggested that, yes, they do get more involved with bunting, not only that, but also just teaching it more down in the minors, which is something like, apparently the Yankees haven't been doing, and kind of makes sense. I mean, really, look at this, past year, I mean, really, only people can lay down and bunt is like IKF, who's now a free agent, and, a little bit Volpe. I mean, in spots he was able to lay that. But other than that, this going back the past 5 years, even more than that, no one on this team consistently bunts. So if that's something they want to introduce in the game a little bit more, as they're trying to change the game a little bit more to create more action. Obviously, bunts would do that. So again, that's the good thing. At least they're kind of finally starting to see some of their flaws. That yes, they need to bring in a little bit small ball there. And what you're also kind of seeing too is that Judge now, of course, he wanted to have his meeting with Hal at the end of the season. Well, and it seems like Judge is now having, kind of flexing his captain muscle a little bit and having a little bit more input on the team. Having more direct conversations with Hal, and maybe that's one of the things that's also maybe bugging Cashman a little bit. Maybe Judge is probably going over Cashman's head and going straight to Hal about things like this. Like, yes, we need to use our analytics the right way. We should bunt more. We need to be more of a contact hitting team. And again, so that's maybe another reason that maybe Cashman's being a little bitter. Kind of sees the captain kind of flexing the captain muscles there a little bit. And could it be a little bit bad blood between Judge and Cashman? Just going back, remember before the 2023 season, Cashman offered that bit of people call a low ball deal, only about $200 million for Aaron Judge. And of course, Judge had the great 62 home run season and then cashed out big time at the end for $360 million. And, and maybe it's just that little bitter blood between Cashman and Judge from that situation. Remember, Cashman had that press conference opening day 2022, just mentioned that how they offered Judge that big contract and he turned it down. And again, it was a bad look for Judge. Judge wasn't happy that he went public with that. And we've seen Cashman do it before. When he was negotiating the final Jeter deal, again, Cashman went public with the deal, say, hey, look, this is what we offered him. He turned it down, and Jeter wasn't happy with that as well. So could be just a case of just a little bit of bitterness now with Cashman, a lot of things coming at him. But at least the good news that finally, if they do rectify this, and of course, the new hitting coach who I'm going to mention, maybe finally this team could start changing the way, be more of a contact hitting team, not relying on the home run, and again, most importantly, winning more ball games. So to help with the offense, the Yankees finally land their new hitting coach, and it's James Rowson. Now, it was kind of rumored, as we were kind of filming last week's episode, that he might be there, so we didn't want to report it yet because it wasn't confirmed, but now it is confirmed. It is James Rowson. Now, he's been with the organization before, but I'll kind of give you his tale of the tape. So he's 47 years old, and he's basically been coaching half his life, so 22 years experience. 10 of those have been in the major, and he's a local guy, a Mount Vernon native, so knows the area, knows the landscape. But he has had 2 stints with the Yankees before, so the first one was 2006 through 2011, kind of jumbled around a little bit, and then came back to the Yankee organization 2014 through 2016, and that's important because it was probably during that 15-16 period there where he developed supposedly a relationship with Aaron Judge. So this could be, again, more input of Judge in Hal's ear to hire this guy, and kind of, again, they seemed like they had a relationship for a while. Now, Rowson most recently with the Detroit Tigers. And again, has 10 years experience in coaching there. So, not a rookie there, but also not a guy that's like, 80 years old. So I guess, he's kind of in the 47 years old, kind of that fine line where a little bit old school baseball, but he kind of relates to some of the younger players there. So a good mix. Can't say I know exactly what his philosophy or anything like that. And again, is he going to make much of a difference? I don't know. I mean, as I read off before how Sean Casey, when he took over, really some of the Yankees numbers went down in terms of batting average and so forth. So I just don't know how much impact a hitting coach makes, but nevertheless, the Yankees got that guy, and if he has the blessings of Judge, again, maybe it's something Judge knows. If you look at some of the Yankees that came up during 2016, 17, 18, obviously Aaron Judge, who in his first full season in 2017 hit 52 home runs. Those were the years when Gary Sanchez was actually good. We had the early Greg Bird was good. Gleybar Torres initially, even though Gleybar kind of came out when this guy's not with the organization. But, when we had like that first group of baby bombers come up and be successful, maybe Rowson had a hand in that as, he was kind of winding down his final 2 years in the Yankee. Can't even say that directly. We don't know. Only speculation. But, again, Judge seems like the guy, and this is why the guy was hired. And, again, maybe, this guy was, maybe, Cashman maybe wanted someone else and kind of Judge pushed this guy. Again, could be more of that bit the reason why Mike Cashman seems a little bit bitter in his press conference there lately. So, is he going to be turning things around? I don't know. I just think it's more about the players. I don't really put much stock in hitting coaches. I just think they could tweak little things more or less, but I think it's just more on the player. And so, it's more about these, someone like a DJ LeMahieu, Stanton really turning themselves around more than this guy's going to discover something. But if it could help, why not? And staying in the world of coaching, of course, the Yankee bench coach right now is vacated because Carlos Mendoza is now the manager of the Mets, and the Yankees doing a search there for that coaching position. And it's going to be someone that's going to be useful because, again, 2024 could also see Boone getting thrown out a lot as he did in 2023. Maybe not, hopefully. Hopefully the Yankees are playing well and he's not getting frustrated, but nevertheless, the Yankees have a search there. So initially they looked at David Ross, the former Cubs manager, and he's someone who has a relationship with Boone. Again, before Boone became the manager of the New York Yankees, he worked at ESPN Baseball, and actually Ross and him were kind of in the same booth there and kind of working with each other there. So he has that relationship with Ross, but Ross actually turned it down. He said if he does come back to manage, he only wants to do it as a manager, not a bench coach or some other coach or some type of assistant like that. So now it seems like the hot name the Yankees are looking at right now is Andrew Bailey. Now, he was a coach with the San Francisco Giants for the past 4 seasons. Now, he was offered the pitching coach job. He's a former pitcher by the Chicago White Sox, but he looks like he turned it down. So it looks like he wants to get the bench coach job, which maybe for him, after that, he maybe wants to elevate himself to be a manager himself there. So, again, the Yankees are considered, but also some other teams like the Cubs, the Dodgers, and Red Sox also looking at him. So he's kind of, I guess he looks like a couple of offers here, kind of tailored tape. Now, this is more of him as a player. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2009. Now he's a pitcher. He actually played for the Yankees in 2015, pitched 10 games as a reliever. And again, he's someone like, I don't think he changes the world. He moves the world, but again, he's a younger guy. You've seen a lot of teams do this, to try to get some guys who just maybe fresh off being a professional, being a player, and maybe they feel they can relate to the current players that way versus kind of throwing the old Sparky Anderson or Dusty Baker, 75-year-old at somebody there. So maybe they feel just a younger guy can relate. Hard to say that, but if that's what the Yankees wanted to try something different, I'm all for it. I know people clamoring like, bring Don Mattingly back like that, and I don't think Don Mattingly is going to take a lesser bench coach road. And actually, the Milwaukee Brewers have been looking at Don Mattingly for their manager vacated seat there. So that's the situation. So it seems like the Yankees are hot on Bailey, and it just seems that the fact that he turned down the White Sox job, I guess it's probably he has like 2 or 3 teams to choose, and I think the high echelon of the New York Yankees is obviously very appealing, and the fact that Boone's going to be walking into his final year of his contract, so maybe if Bailey says, hey, if I do a good job of bench coach or I'm impressive, and they don't want to bring Boone back, maybe I could be a candidate for the Yankee job. So he'd probably take the job just based on that, and maybe obviously you don't want to see Boone get fired because it means the Yankees had a bad season. But if he's the bench coach there, at least he'll be definitely one of the candidates. Well, we had the gold in terms of Anthony Volpe getting the Gold Glove. Now you go from gold to silver, and of course the reward there is the Silver Slugger. Now a couple of Yankees were up for the Silver Slugger award. That would be second baseman Gleybar Torres and outfielder Aaron Judge. Now on the podcast, I mentioned both. I kind of did a breakdown with the numbers and hope they'll get, and I said both of them didn't have a shot. Again, with Volpe, I was wrong on that one, but these one two I thought would definitely not have a shot, and he didn't win. Unfortunately, the second baseman award went to Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. And now what they do is they don't really go center field, left field, right field like that. They just pick 3 outfielders, which I knew Judge wasn't going to be one of them just because I don't think he played enough games. But those awards went to Luis Roberts Jr. of the White Sox, Julio Rodriguez of Seattle, and Kyle Tucker of those lovely Houston Astros, who we just love. Tucker's first there. Now, Judge, again, if he played a full season, I think he definitely would have got one, but just not enough there. He only played 106 games. I mean, compared to the other guys, not enough. Batting average, 267. Now, that doesn't mean as much because some of those other guys' batting average wasn't great. 37 home runs, which overall isn't great, but you want to compare to the amount of games he had. It was pretty much on pace what he was doing last season, but unfortunately, again, missed the 50-something games with the whole sprained toe injury going through the wall there in Los Angeles, and just 75 RBIs there. So I didn't think it was enough. Now, the only thing I think Judge had a shot was that versus him and the other candidate, he was the only player who had an over 1 OPS, so it's on-base percentage plus slugging. His was actually 1.019. The other players, if you look it up, it's like 0.8, 0.9, so they were all under 1, Judges above 1. So that would be like the only saving grace, a little thing out there that maybe Judge could hold on to get the Silver Slugger award. Plus, there's a little bit with reputation and be the Yankee captain and kind of the face of baseball and all that stuff. At least co-face with Ohtani there. But it wasn't enough, and I didn't think he'd have a shot. That would be the only way you can consider him, but that. And then Gleybar Torres, again, statistically wise, look it up, he had a decent season. Again, this team didn't have a lot of offense, so there wasn't too many guys hitting 100, getting 100 RBIs, so you can't expect that on this team. But overall, Marcus Semien, who did win it for Texas, his numbers were 276, which is a better batting average than Gleybar Torres, 29 home runs, more home runs than Gleybar Torres, 100 RBIs, many more RBIs over Gleybar Torres, and an OPS of 826 was slightly tick higher than OPS. So you take those 4 categories, and he pretty much beats Gleybar Torres straight up there. So I didn't think Gleybar had a shot there. Again, Gleybar had a decent season a little bit, and kind of mentioned a little later there's some trade rumors regarding him. But again, Judge and Gleybar Torres just not enough there. If Judge played a full season, or at least didn't miss as many games, maybe he would have shot. But again, there's too many games he didn't play. So again, during this offseason, the Yankees are going to have to look for a way to improve this roster. And the problem is he's got so many guys in long-term deals, so I don't know how much flexibility they have. But one ace, or at least one tradable piece they have that teams would want to take is who I just mentioned before. Gleybar Torres, still very young, good second baseman, puts up offensive numbers. I don't say he's a great player, but he's a good player. He does put up the numbers there. So, teams would, maybe want to take a look at him. And also for the fact that he's entering an arbitration year. Now, last year was also an arbitration year. He got $9.6 million. So you take that and the fact that the numbers he put up this season, he'll probably cost the team about $10 or $11 million there. So, for a second baseman with an infielder with that type of production, I think that's really fair market value. He's not really, an injury plague type of guy. I mean, whatever faults he has, you don't see him get hurt often. So, again, he would be appetizing for a lot of teams. And supposedly there have been rumors that, some teams have been interested. One of the Dodgers, and of course the other one being the Boston Red Sox. Now, there was one proposal out there, whether it's a rumor or not, that I think might make sense for both sides, would be trading him to Boston for Alex Verdugo. Now, you remember Verdugo, left field a couple seasons ago. I think someone threw something, a fan threw something to him in the back there, so he's going to have to kind of forgive the fans a little bit. But I think he would be a decent player for the Yankees to bring in. Again, you have to look to try to change this roster, and not that I say Gleybar Torres is terrible and he hurts the team, he's holding them down, but you got to get some. You just got to change. You got to get some new faces here. You got to change things around because the Yankees have been trying this, whatever this group is, for the past 3-4 seasons, and apparently it's not working. So you got to make some changes, and one of them could be shipping Gleybar out, getting another right-handed bat, which the Yankees have too many of, and bringing in Verdugo, who is a left-handed bat. So we'll look at this some of the numbers here. So again, to mention before that, Verdugo would bring for the Yankees. left-handed bat, left-hand, and he plays left field. So if the Yankees decide to play it cheap and not go after Cody Bellinger or not make any big splash for Juan Soto, Verdugo then playing left field might be an option for the Yankees. Again, he's a proven left fielder there. Now, offensively, he doesn't wow you. Last season, he hit 264. Now, in 2022, he hit 280, so he is capable of being a little better than that. Again, Gleybar Torres is just about the same, more or less. Only 13 home runs, so you're not really wowed with that, but you got to take into account he plays half his games in Fenway Park, which is more friendly to right-handed hitters, not left-handed hitters there. So put Verdugo in Yankee Stadium for 82 games, I'm sure he would have a lot more home runs than only 13 and only 54 RBIs. Again, you're not really wowed about that, but not only were the Yankees terrible in 2023, the Red Sox were equally as terrible, and actually the Yankees finally just squeaked them out to be in fourth place there. So, Verdugo putting up kind of not great numbers, but on a bad team, so you can understand that. But what I like about Verdugo, look, he has a bit of an edge to him. Boston seems to kind of produce these players like a Dustin Pedroia or like the Verdugo. He has a bit of an edge to him, a scrappy type player. The Yankees need to get some of that. They have just too many of these kind of this lackadaisical guys that are kind of like this, not really grinders, not really gritty. Yeah, they'll hit some home runs and stuff like that, but like Gleybar Torres, he's not a killer. He doesn't, what has ever been a big moment for Gleybar Torres? I mean, has he ever hit like, do you remember anything like at the bottom of the eighth, the Yankees are down by 2 runs, and he hits a big 2-run home run to tie the game? That's like never happened. He's had a couple of walk-off hits, fine, but like he's never had a great moment. And I know, the Yankees haven't been in a ton of postseason games with this current baby bomber group, but yeah, and it's not fair to get, but look at something like Derek Jeter. I mean, just look at all the great moments he had in the postseason. You look at '96, the Jeffrey Mayer, home run. He had a little help with Jeffrey Mayer there, but it was a big moment in that game. The Yankees are down, ties it up, home run against Armando Benitez, because Derek Jeter in the World Series in '96 starts that rally in Game 4. The Yankees behind 6 runs. It was Jeter who initially got on base to start that rally up, and the Yankees would end up tying that game and then going ahead and winning, taking Game 4 there. And of course, you look at the 2000 World Series Game 4 against the Mets. Opening pitch against Bobby Jones, hits a home run, and even though that was Game 4, that pretty much ended the series right there. And then if you look on 2001, we have the flip play in Oakland, and then of course hits the Mr. November home run. So all these great moments. I know, again, it's not fair to compare Gleybar Torres to Derek Jeter, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer there, but look at all those moments I meant with Jeter, and I probably missed about 5. Has Gleybar Torres done even one of those things? I mean, he's been here since 2018. What great moments has he really had, especially in the postseason? None. So by losing Gleybar Torres, you're not really losing anything. Again, he's not a killer. He doesn't really, break the heart of the other team. He's just a guy who's here and just kind of puts up stats. Like, he doesn't really do anything other than that. Whereas Verdugo, he's kind of a chippy guy. I mean, you remember last season, there was even a game up in Fenway. He got a big hit off of Clay Holmes, and Boston ended up winning that game, a game that Clay Holmes blew. Again, Verdugo has done that a couple times in the Yankees. He has broke their hearts, and he's that type of player. And I think that's the type of grinding player and kind of grinding attitude this Yankee organization needs. So I would consider making that trade. Now, money-wise, they're both in the same boat. 2024, Verdugo is arbitration eligible, and he'll probably cost a little bit less than Gleybar Torres because, again, he doesn't have the stats, he doesn't have as many home runs and hits and stuff like that as Gleybar Torres, stuff like that. So he'll probably be less expensive than Gleybar Torres. I would actually make that deal. I just say, look, we got to try to bring someone else in here. I don't hate Gleybar. I don't think he's terrible. He's okay, but he doesn't really do anything to advance this team. Where someone like Verdugo, again, we've seen him be gritty and grindy. As you see the guy when the Yankees play him, and I think that's the guy I would like to just bring him in, just give this team a little bit of an edge around. This team's just kind of they're too like they seem like they're sleepwalking half the time. I like to bring Verdugo in here, and I think it'd be all right. Obviously he's got the beard and the red hair going, so like Clint Frazier, they'll just have to clean him, shape him up there, and get him to shave. But I think that's a trade. I think that'd be a good move for the Yankees, and just freshens this roster up, and more importantly, gives the Yankees a left-handed bat, which they desperately need. Because right now you're just looking at basically Austin Wells, much left over in there. So the Yankees got to add some left-handed bats there. So I think Verdugo, if Boston was willing to make that deal, I would make it for the Yankees. And dealing with some of the other Yankee players that are really untradeable on this team. An interesting tweet by WFAN's Keith McPherson. He kind of put out, just to paraphrase, because I think a lot of fans are panicking, is Cole going to opt out after the 2024 season? I mean, pretty much, if we didn't have him, our entire rotation would have been in shambles in 23. But the whole thing was sort of to paraphrase, don't worry, Cole's not going to opt out. We still have Judge for a few more years, and Rizzo wants to finish his career, and DJ wants to finish his career, and Stanton wants to finish his career. And I'm like, wait, what a second? What? Well, a couple things we got to break down with that. So that's one thing with that statement, which, do you really want Stanton and DJ and Rizzo here? I mean, they're both in their mid-30s to finish their careers here. I mean, it's not looking good. I mean, Rizzo, I guess he's still decent, but like the other two, like have not been good at all. You want them for another 3 or 4 years. I mean, you want to find a way to trade them and get rid of them. I mean, because they're pretty much holding this team down. They're part of the problem. But nevertheless, I'll kind of examine that a little bit. But the interesting part is that former Major League player and former Yankee Cameron Maybin actually replied to that and basically paraphrase what he had to say is that really maybe Stanton would not want to finish his career in pinstripes. Maybe that he's a little bit unhappy here, which kind of makes sense. I mean, he hasn't been doing well. Now, Stanton, to his credit, he's very tight-lipped. He always says the right thing. He never snaps at reporters. He never snaps at fans there. But something definitely seems wrong with the guy. I mean, he's just, get hurt all the time. He finished the season, got a batting average under 200, which is just unacceptable for a major league player. And so maybe something psychological, maybe he's not happy here. Maybe it could be part of the reason. Again, he's been booed a lot. He hasn't received the Josh Donaldson, Aaron Hicks treatment or Joey Gallo treatment, but it's been pretty close to outstanding. I mean, he has gotten hammered a lot though, not as bad as the other guys, but it is up there. And I think going into 2024, again, if he kind of has these underwhelming at bats and striking out 4 times a game and hitting into double plays, it's really going to start pouring it on because again, those other targets are all gone. Donaldson's gone, Hicks is gone, Gallo's gone, and now you kind of look at, well, Stanton's now lined up there, and yeah, he's a great player. He's probably going to hit 500 home runs in his career. Got a shot at maybe the Hall of Fame, maybe, because he has a whole lot of stats he puts up. But obviously, the last couple of years in Yankee uniform hasn't been good. Hurt a lot. Underperforming, underwhelming, only good in some very small spots in the playoffs. Yes, he's got some home runs in the playoffs, so you can't say, he's a total bust there. But again, last season, when the Yankees needed him the most, when Judge went down, didn't show up at all there. So again, I don't know why you would want him to finish his career. I mean, you want a little bit more of this because, again, it's holding the team down. So, and again, maybe Cameron Maybin might know something. Again, he was with the Yankees first season there, so he probably, he might have a relationship with Stanton, but knows things we don't know. And of course, Maybin did spend a year in the Yes booth. I guess it didn't work out because they didn't bring him back after that, but he might have a little bit of insight there. Now let's go back to Keith's original statement. Again, why would you want DJ, Rizzo, and Stanton to want to finish their careers here? I don't get it. It's just like, unfortunately, whether it's through injury or there's age, it has not been good. The Yankees basically misestimated them, and DJ right now, he is what he is right now. He's a 240 hitter, a 250 hitter. He hasn't been himself in 3 seasons, and at age 35, he's not going to all of a sudden find it. So this is what he is right now, and you got him for another 3 seasons. So you want to stick with that? I mean, unfortunately, look, I like the guy, and I hate to say it, but something's wrong with the guy. He just hasn't been the same. So whether it's injury or age, I don't think if some team were willing to trade him and take him, I'd make that in a heartbeat. Same with Stanton as well. It's just, I don't know what it is with this guy. He just lost it for some reason. And even Brian Cashman, when asked about Stanton, he said this injuries are just going to be part of his game, like it's part of his repertoire. Yeah, let me get injured right now because that's one of my secret weapons. So these 2 guys, I would not want them around. If there's any way the Yankees get rid of them, I can. But again, they both have like 3 or 4 years left. Rizzo at least a little serviceable. I know he had the whole issue last night with the concussion. Again, I don't think that's really a physical dance. It's more, I think he'll be back fine for 2024. He was hitting well. Now, he only has 1 year left on his deal, and after that, a club option for 2025. So you're not stuck with the guy forever. So him, I let that play out a little bit. But the other 2, if you get rid of him, you got to do it.